We are back on MorningLine. Thanks for joining us on this Monday. It's Monday, but we're with Friday. Dr. Friday, she prepares taxes.
Original.
By the way, we talked about audits when it comes down. I would imagine you're so good at what you do that rarely happens, but do most tax preparers that are worth their salt, if they have a client that gets audited for whatever reason, handle that for them?
Not always.
Well,
Not
how do you
always.
handle it?
Well, I mean, obviously, as an enrolled agent, I'm licensed with the IRS to actually deal with that kind of thing. So a lot of my education goes along with dealing with the Internal Revenue Service audits and all that. Some tax preparers are just people that throw some numbers on a tax return. Some, even though they may be enrolled agents, don't do actual negotiations with the IRS. So I actually handle a lot of other revenue. Some other tax people, they'll hire us to actually handle audits or deal with IRS issues. So it just depends. You know, after 20 years, getting old.
Stop.
After 20 years of doing it, you know, it's just like anybody in their own professions. You learn to do what you're good at. So, you know, being able to.
But is that a question you should ask when you seek? I mean, if it were to happen, if it were to happen with you,
I would say that's a #1 question. If for some reason I get a notice,
you stand behind your
absolutely.
Yeah.
We stand behind it. We help represent, and we get you through it, whatever the situation might be. If you're sitting down with somebody, and obviously, you know, especially if it's a seasonal office, one of my biggest concerns has always been with some of these. What if, you know, in October I receive a love letter from the Internal Revenue Service? Who do I call? And in many cases, they'll say we have an 800 number. We have representation, whatever, but just make sure you have that information, because love letters from the IRS are just renowned to come in. Sooner or later, everyone is going to get one.
My crazy dad years ago, I mean, he's looking for a way to cut corners, and he found some weekly newspaper that you get for free. He had a little coupon for a tax preparer for how much it was, and he went there, didn't know him, like you said. And I'm not saying there's a lot of people that do it themselves. We've had some that do a fine job, but he went to them, gave them the coupon, he got audited. They messed it up big time. I mean, go with a referral or know who you're dealing with, I would think, to some degree. By the way, what would you say to someone out there, whether or not they should consider going to a tax preparer, or if it's simple? I know many people do it themselves.
There is nothing wrong with doing it yourself. To be honest with you, I would say it's more apt if you have a small business, if you have rental properties, if you have something really different that happened. Maybe you got an inheritance that's become a taxable situation, or maybe you have stock sales that are something you've never dealt with before on doing your taxes. That's when you want to get someone that's done a lot of it. Expertise can make the difference of being audited and not, but more importantly, getting the tax advantages or not. That's where you want to do. But if you got a W-2 or home mortgage and property taxes, really, I mean, you could do that yourself without any major issue.
You hear about
and they ask a lot of good questions, my understanding is. I've never actually used
like what TurboTax or something like that's one of them. I know there's a lot of good ones out there.
There's all kinds. I think every major brand from H&R Block down have online versions of their software that you can use. You know, I mean, we use the professional version of TurboTax. Everything I do is through Intuit. So, you know, it's a great brand. It's a good thing. And I say go for it. If you get stumped, just don't make guesses. I know Intuit, for example, has a number you can call with tax experts on the line where you can actually ask them a question, or you can actually do it through the computer, ask questions. Don't hesitate if you're guessing, because that's when I find that people come to me afterwards because, oh, I thought this was this or this. It was an either or, and it isn't really. It's a yes or no in most cases. Are you or are you not, whatever that question is.
Okay. Well, because that's my biggest concern would be that I get on there doing it, and it's got to be simple enough, and I make a mistake.
Yes.
That's what worries me. But other than that, like you said, if you're someone who is dealing with multiple types of incomes, or like you said, some of these others, or if, you know, my wife, you know, is self-employed, and so she has to figure out her payments, and if it's complicated, maybe it's worth having someone do it.
I mean, and peace of mind. Keep in mind, if it's not your expertise, how much time are you willing to invest into doing it online where you could have somebody do it possibly for the same cost or maybe a little bit more, but you get that peace of mind. It's like insurance, right? I mean, you know, you're kind of getting that extra insurance that somebody's been doing it for a number of years. That's why when you go to a tax person, you know, it's the first time, ask how many tax returns they've done. Ask them some questions that maybe you've always wanted to know the answer. If they don't have that ready answer, you might want to look for someone else. Maybe they are there seasonally, and you know, as an enrolled agent, we do it all year. Not every tax person is that, and I have a little concern when it comes to people just throwing numbers into a tax software. you can do that yourself.
Yeah, I got you. I bet you've done some before where people have done that, then you get it, and then you find ways to save them even more money.
Absolutely.
That's the key.
We do, yeah.
So isn't that the nice thing?
Exactly.
Or sometimes you're very efficient and you find, well, you owe a little more than you thought you did, but that's better than dealing with the IRS later.
You want me to tell you that versus the IRS.
Exactly.
That's the difference.
Exactly. All right. Let's get back to the phone lines. Next up is, we've got a couple of them. Here's Mary number 1. Good morning, Mary.
Good morning.
Hi, Mary. What's on your mind?
The last 2 or 3 years I've been doing the 1040 on tax, on my income tax. This year I did sell a small, very, very small piece of
land
stock.
Oh, stock.
And so I'm just wanting to check and see. It's not, in other words, it's under $20 is what it would be. How do I go about putting that on there? Can I still go with the TurboTax, or do I have to change something else?
Well, TurboTax, I'm absolutely sure can handle it. You're going to do a Schedule D if you want to claim it. $20, I'm assuming if that's the profit, or is that how much you sold it for?
No, that was the profit.
Okay, so the IRS is only going to really know what you sold it for, so you need to do a D, which would be when did you purchase it, when did you sell it, how much you sell it for, and how much did you purchase it for to get to that $20. But it's a very simple form, and I don't think you'd have to change anything, and it will roll directly to the 1040.
So I can do the TurboTax with the 1040?
Yes, TurboTax 1040, just add a Schedule D as in dog.
As in dog. Okay.
Okay?
All right, I appreciate it.
No problem.
Thank you, Mary.
Thanks, Mary.
Appreciate the call. Let's go to Mary number 2.
Mary number 2.
Hello, Mary.
Hi there. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Thank you so much for taking my call.
Sure.
I was wanting to find out about some inheritance from my father's estate. I inherited like $30,000 in December from my father's because he passed away.
Yep.
And last year, our total income, which is 2 dependents, we're in our 70s, it was $35,000. That was included for our Social Security and our interest.
Right.
And we did have it prepared last year, and so we really didn't need to file, but we didn't know it, and so we didn't, have to pay anything. So now I want to know our income will probably be just a little bit more than what it was in 2014, and so how much would I have to pay on this $30,000? Would it be all, or part of it, or what?
Okay, let's backtrack a little bit. How did you inherit? Was it just a check from his estate? Was it cash from the bank, or did you sell property? Did you sell something? Oh, how did the $30,000 come to you? Do you know? Was it just okay?
Yes, it was my father's estate, and it was set up for us. It was willed over to us, and so we sold it, and that was my part, $30,000.
Okay, sold the home. What did you sell? I'm sorry, Mary. What did you sell?
Yes, we sold his home.
His home. Okay, so the beautiful thing about that, I was hoping you would say that. The beautiful thing is when your father passed away, and you inherited, there's a step up in basis. So basically what the home was worth at the time of his death and what you sold it for, since you sold it pretty much immediately, is going to be a zero capital gains, zero tax on the $30,000.
Okay. Well, we sold it probably less than what we could have gotten for it because we wanted to get rid of it.
Okay. Well, then still zero taxable dollars.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay?
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
I appreciate it.
No problem.
Thank you for your call. You're a machine.
I tried.
Let's go to Lou. Lou, good morning.
Morning.
Hi, Lou. How can we help you?
I am looking at a 1095B form.
Okay.
Got through health coverage.
Right.
And I was wondering, on line number 8, it says you have to put a letter identifying the original of the policy.
Okay.
Where do those identifying letters or numbers come from?
It's a great question. It's an insurance question. I'm so sorry. It's not one that's going to have to do with taxes. I have seen, it's a Rella News form, so I haven't got it fully memorized, to be quite honest with you. I know the numbers that I really need, and I'm not too sure what the answer to that would be. You might want to call the company that you got that from just to see. I don't know if that helps. Sorry.
So this is more of an insurance question?
Yeah, it's something that they have on the form, and she's wanting to know one of the lines, line 8, she said, or something, has some identifying. Is on the back? Does it give you the explanation of those on the back, like a regular 1099?
And what it is that I'm on Social Security disability.
So you're on Medicare or Medicaid?
Yes.
Okay.
And I was wondering if those are the letters, but it doesn't say anything about Medicare or Medicaid back there. That's got like A, B, C, D, E, and F.
And those, normally, those letters will tie to, and you might, are you a computer person at all?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking Google would have the answer. Where's Google when we need you? I don't know the answer to that one. I'm so sorry, sweetheart. I mean, something we can look into.
Should I call Social Security or find out? Or?
I would say, yeah, give them a call and see. They'll probably have a better idea since they're actually producing those forms.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Sorry.
And we do have Josh Horn from Social Security coming on in the next couple of weeks.
Oh, awesome.
And when he does, maybe call back at that time and see what you can do. See if we can,
good.
All these forms and numbers and what to get. It gets confusing, especially, and you know, I sympathize with her. I'm not the most computer savvy guy. Now I'll go on and do Google. Thank goodness for Google. But let's go to Ruby. Ruby, good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, Ruby, go ahead.
My question is, I owe IRS about $4,900, and I'm on Social Security. In limited income, me and my daughter and my grandson. How do I go about filing for a hardship?
It's rather easy, actually. I would pick up the phone. It's going to take you an hour or so, so be patient. Pick up the phone, give them a call. They're going to ask you $4,900. It's almost, they can make the decision on the phone for you. So basically, they're going to ask you about your income. I would not mention your daughter or your grandson because they're not part of that debt. But they may ask you how many people live in the household, something like that. But just answer the questions. $4,900 on a fixed income, if Social Security is all you have, most likely they're going to give you what's called basically non-collectible. You're going to go into non-collectible status. If for some reason you have problems with doing that, you can call the Tax Advocate Office. They've extended their hours on a January 11th to help people just like that. You'll have to call information. I didn't bring their phone number, but the Tax Advocate Office is very helpful for these kind of situations.
Does that help?
Yes, and also I foreclosed on my home last year, and the mortgage people, when they finished, gave me
a 1099-C.
Yeah, they gave me $10,000 to move and clear out my house, my home, and the other building that was on there, and it took every bit of that. They didn't file it. They didn't turn it over to IRS. Do I have to file it when I file my taxes?
No, they're going to consider that part of your primary mortgage, and your primary mortgage is waived from having to pay any kind of taxes on any losses or recapture. So most likely that's not going to show up anywhere.
Thank you very much for your extra help this morning.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Good
Real
question.
quickly, before we go to the break, what other types of income are non-taxable? I mean, Social Security?
Nope, it can be taxable.
Okay. Are there any other little?
So Social Security and disability, if you're single and that's the only income you make, is tax-free.
Because you're way under the poverty line.
Correct. If you're married to someone that is making money, it can then turn them to be both taxable.
Because combined with your spouse's income.
So you might want to consider filing separately to keep your income tax-free and let them pay tax on their own.
Capital gains, stuff like that. You sell your house, sell your motorcycle.
There's a 0% capital gains if you're in the 10 to 15 tax bracket after you report whatever that gain is.
Okay. If I want to take money out early from my...
Penalties.
No, but I think there's a way you can take money out of your Roth now at a certain point. But money coming out of a Roth...
can be tax-free.
What do you mean can be?
Well, it should be tax-free as long as you've had it in there 5 years.
Oh, right. As long as you meet the criteria. So if I take...
There's always exceptions,
If I take $5,000 out of my Roth, and it's been in there for 5 years, I can take it.
Yep, it's yours.
It's
no
mine.
tax.
Unlike with a 401k, which is
10%
something
penalty possibly.
Well, you wouldn't take it out early,
income.
but even when you take it out later, when you're able to take it out, you're still paying taxes on 401k because you didn't pay taxes on it going in.
Exactly, you got the tax break.
Get more into that. That's kind of good stuff. All right, listen. On that note, we'll take it. Nah, forget it. You don't want me handling your taxes. 737-7587 is the number. More questions. Our final segment with Dr. Friday right after this. Stay with us.